Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Episode 3, Season 2, Living Languages. We're so excited to be back with you guys today. And, last week we got to meet Jeanette and the week before Louise. So now you get the pleasure of having both of them back. And we're so excited to talk today a little bit about their relationship as well as sort of what being similar culture, but, having different language backgrounds, how that's played out in their relationship. So we can get started. I really want to see if you guys feel comfortable sharing your meet cute story. Like, how did you guys meet?
Well, um, we met because your daughter, his sister, her son went to school with my son, and so he got to invite two friends from class, and it just so happened that my son was one of the boys that she invited, and we met at the birthday party. I actually met you first.
Yeah, we met first.
We met first.
And we hit it off.
Yeah, and we
so
made
well.
plans to like hang out with the boys and things like that. And then obviously eventually like I met Luis because we were in the same area and both our boys were playing. And then we went to a different area and then the boys were playing again with each other and hanging out. And we just kind of started having a conversation and he eventually asked for my number. And then, just kind of went from there.
Yeah. That's so cute. So when you first saw him, what did you think? Like, he's Hispanic, he's Latino. Like, what did you think?
He's tall, handsome.
Oh, that's true.
And I saw like just seeing him be a dad, I was like, that's such an attractive feature. And I think like one of the most things I'm attracted to is that how like he's just so like hands-on with his son. So yeah, first thing I saw was like immediately like, oh, like look at him just like being a dad, and but yeah, for sure the height was like the first thing that attracted
me. He's the tallest in our whole family.
Yeah.
You got all the height from all of us.
Yeah.
What about your side, Luis? Do you want to tell your side of the story?
Yeah. So as soon as I walked into the party, I saw her. Like I had my eyes on her already. I just saw this beautiful woman with her son. I was like, I already knew at that point, like, oh yeah, like this is the one. So me and her have different experiences,
yeah,
when it comes to our meet cute. But yeah, I mean, I just saw her and like I thought she was beautiful, and I saw her son, like, he was scared to go down the zip line because we were at like a trampoline park.
Yeah.
Liam. So I was like, come on, you got this. And I started clapping, and that's the first time she turned around and looked at me. And I told her like that was all part of my plan the whole time. But yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I just thought she was beautiful. I knew that she was Hispanic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
That's so cute. Yeah. And then you guys started talking, dating, and then obviously now here we are almost a year later.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, kind of in line with like the language and culture theme, how would you each separately, and we'll start with Jeanette and then go to Luis, like how would you describe your relationship to Spanish, like the language that you speak it, that you don't, etc.?
I love it. Like I love like being Latina and my culture, and I'm very proud and like openly proud of my culture and like where I come from and my family's roots, my roots and things like that. So I would say I'm definitely really proud of like being a Latina and Mexican American.
Did that ever play into like people that you dated or anything, or was that never like a factor?
No, it was definitely. Okay. And just like because my family is bilingual, I always wanted to have a bilingual boyfriend, or a partner that speaks both languages, so someone who is, fluent in both.
Yeah. Interesting. What about you, Luis?
My relationship to Spanish?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about it in episode 1, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a relationship with Spanish, I guess, other than the fact that like I want to learn, you
Yeah.
know, especially being with Jeanette now, like her family's always speaking Spanish, and
Yeah.
like I really want to learn, and I guess it's like FOMO, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm excluded from like that piece of her life a little bit, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I don't speak the language, but I do want to speak it. So I guess that's my relationship with it, is just like, you know, wanting to
Yeah.
learn it. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Like I would imagine too, like when you're spending time with her family and like hearing it, are you like starting to catch on to some of the like phrases and some of the like things that they say and starting to learn a little bit that way?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like I have picked up a little bit more, at
Mm-hmm.
least like on the understanding, because I can understand a little bit. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, if I hear them talking, I can kind of piece together like what they're talking about. Maybe not
Yeah.
specific words, but like I can
Like
kind
with
of figure
context
out.
clues and stuff.
Yeah. Um, but I think since you know, started spending more time with her and her family, I do think I've been picking up a little bit more, but definitely not enough to like have any type of conversation at this point. So.
Yeah. But I think like sometimes too, like we doubt our ability,
Yeah.
like you may be able to say more than you think or that you would be comfortable
No,
with.
I think I have a pretty realistic mindset, because we practice sometimes like
Yeah.
Mhm.
randomly. We'll be like the other day we're in the car, and I was trying to say basically like, oh well, we're gonna go and get everything from the store,
Mhm.
and I don't think I knew one word in that sentence.
Aw.
But I will say when he does say certain phrases, it does come out very naturally. Like
Mm.
and I now not everything, but
Yeah.
there is certain things I'm like, wow, you said that like really good. Like with
Mhm.
no like you didn't have like that other like,
Yeah.
accent of, not knowing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. Like, obviously the best way to learn a language is to be immersed if possible. So,
Mhm.
like, being around you and your family and hearing it, like, that he is going to start to pick up on it, which is good.
Yeah.
And he has the motivation to want to learn, which
Yeah.
I think is a big part of learning the
Yeah.
language.
I believe in what I've told him is the best way to learn is to learn your everyday words.
Mm-hmm.
Like the everyday phrases, cuz
Yeah,
you're not going to want to learn something that you're never going to really say. But
that's true.
learning the basic words that you use every day, like
Mm-hmm.
car and like no, yes, basic stuff, water, like
Yeah.
soda, things like that is going to be the easiest way to transition into learning a different language.
No, that's true. There's even research behind it. Like you should learn, it's like the 80-20 rule, right? The words that you're going to use 80% of the time, that's what you should focus on
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Have you guys had any like language mishaps or miscommunications or any funny stories that have happened like with the language between the two of you?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I feel like in a Hispanic culture, it's very like appropriate to like call someone like beautiful without it being like disrespectful or like
Mm-hmm.
like just like whenever someone says like love or like you're not. And I think those kind of have like where like he thinks like someone's flirting with me because they're saying like, oh, like like you're, thank you so much, beautiful or whatever, and it's like
It's like that
and yeah,
coqueteando is like very,
coqueteando, yes, and I'm
yeah.
like, but that's not a, like that's just how we
Mm-hmm.
get along, or
It's
like they're
very
just
much a
like,
part of the
yeah.
culture.
And so I think that has been kind of like funny for him to like, be
That's
like, he's
so
like, I don't think so.
interesting.
But, and I'm like, no, I promise you. And like
Yeah.
a Hispanic culture, like that's just how it is.
I remember I had gone on a 2-week immersion to Costa Rica for work,
Hmm.
and that our teacher came in one day, and she was normally very upbeat, and she was really upset, and we're like, "What happened?" She's like, "Oh, the construction workers didn't whistle at me today, and like
Oh.
tell me I'm beautiful, so like
So I was
obviously I
not,
look terrible, and but that like helped me kind of realize like it is such a big part of the culture,
yeah,
yeah, and it's
yeah,
not disrespectful, it's not meant,
yeah.
in any like,
Now, don't get me wrong. There is sometimes like,
of course.
certain, but in some of the settings that we've
Mm.
had, like, it's like, I'm like, I promise you, it's nothing like that,
Yeah.
or like whenever, like, let's just say, my brother or something, and he looks nice or whatever, it's like, wow, like, look at you, and I'm like whistling at him. Obviously I'm not flirting with him, but it's like,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
wow, look at you, or like, oh, or whenever you want someone to help you do something, you always like, wow, you're so strong, and like, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just, not in a flirty way. You're just like,
Right.
yeah.
And I think like Spanish being the language of love, it's very like expressive. And that's one thing I noticed about Tagalog too when I started to learn and just even seeing like, Dexter's
Mm-hmm.
mom, Lola, she's very expressive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one similarity that the
Yeah.
cultures have and that plays
Yes.
into that.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Luis? Do you feel like there was ever any kind of like mishap, miscommunication or something that was like
Yeah, I do agree with her. Like there has been a few times. Sometimes I think they are flirting with her, but we could.
I mean, we don't always know when guys are flirting with us. I mean, like
Yeah.
your radar's a little off.
I think and like it's always funny though. Like every time I try to speak Spanish, I think like
Mm-hmm.
that's always funny, at least to me, because like I know one time we went and she was like, okay, like this time you're gonna order. She's like, I'm gonna tell you what to say and you're gonna order.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. I practiced for like 5 minutes, like what to say, what to say. We got in there. I said it. As soon as I said it, the lady came back with like a whole sentence in Spanish, and I was
Yeah.
just sitting there, just staring at her, like help me. You know what I mean?
So obviously you sounded fluent and native if she
Yeah.
because sometimes you can say in Spanish to the person and then they just respond back to you in English.
Or I guess also because like whenever we go somewhere and it is like, whether it be like a Mexican restaurant or like a paleteria, and I'm speaking Spanish, or if he says something just like that one thing he wants, then they immediately think like, oh, okay, like he's obviously fluent because he's with her, and so it's
And
like,
look
yeah,
at him.
and look at him. So
Also,
also,
yeah.
so I think that is pretty funny too. Like,
Yeah, I always just think
That's
it's funny, like anytime we go out somewhere and they speak Spanish, or it's like a Mexican restaurant or something, like anywhere else we go, I'm the one that's gonna order. I'm like, oh, this is what we want, like we
Yeah.
order. We'll be in the drive-through and she's like leaning over the seat to talk to the guy in Spanish. Just like, I always think that's funny too.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cute. So, do you feel like your experiences culturally have, like, how do you think that has affected you guys in your relationship? Because, like, in the first episode, Luis mentioned, like, he was part of the No Sabo, like, crew, right? And then, obviously you growing up in a bilingual home and, like, having that, like, cultural experience of not only, like, Puerto Rico versus Mexico, but also, like, just in general, how do you feel like that's, like, affected you guys and then in your relationship?
Well, like I said in the last video, because I grew up so independent and like
Mm,
everyone needed me, and he is a
mm-hmm.
very much like a man that takes care of things, and so he wants to lead.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to like allow him to
That's
lead. So I feel
interesting.
like because of that culture and like that how the way I was like brought up and stuff, and even though
Yeah.
like in the Hispanic culture, it is obviously like appropriate to let the man lead and things like that. But I grew up being needed and taking charge and
Right. You were more in that like your mom said, like her partner, like
partner,
more
yeah,
in that male,
male
so to
role,
speak,
yeah.
role. Yeah.
And so I feel like in our relationship, it's been definitely like something we've had to work on
Mm.
because I'm so like hyper independent and
Yeah.
like I can do it myself. But he's like, no, you don't need to because now you have me. So I'm like, oh,
Right.
okay, like,
Oh, that's sweet though. It's
Yeah.
nice as a woman
mm-hmm,
that you've been doing it on your own for so long
mm-hmm.
as a, even as a single mom, etc., that you do have someone that you can rely on. You just have to let yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's a lot of years of unlearning certain
Mm-hmm.
things, but yes, no, it's good to know that I do have him, and
Yeah.
I know that he's proven to me that I can rely on him, and
Right.
so
It's not just words, it's actions.
yes.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about you, Luis?
I think like it's affected it in a good way,
Oh, okay.
because I feel like even since our first date, like on our first date, we had like a cute picnic, right? Like
Yeah.
out in Austin. And she brought me like a little care package, kind of like it was like a basket,
Oh.
and it had a bunch of like her favorite like Mexican candies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know. I just feel like she's always showing me like, and I used to tell her this all the time. Like, I feel like she's like showing me like a new world, basically, like a new life,
Oh,
because all
that's
this stuff
beautiful.
I've never got to experience before
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that I'm not in that culture. Now
Right.
I'm getting to experience it, and it's like, it's really cool. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed. Like, our culture difference has played
Yeah.
a role in our relationship.
Like in a positive
Yeah, in a
way.
positive way, for sure.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I wouldn't have thought about it in that way, but
Yeah.
that's really cool. And you're right, when you're with someone from a different culture, you do get to kind of peek behind the curtain of like something you've never experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I think it's definitely something that's really fun for us because, like, I get to show him, like, all of these, like, dishes and things that I
Mm-hmm.
like and, things that I think he'll like. But it's also, like, experiencing. I feel like Hispanics are very, like, welcoming. We can
Yeah.
be very welcoming and, like, he's like, that's kind of like a different kind of culture. Like, he's like, well, like, what do you mean? Like, you guys are just so, like, oh, yeah, like, of course, come over, like, make
Mm-hmm.
yourself at home. And he's like, that's,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it's different. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Unfortunately, like the American, like very individualistic
Mm-hmm.
is it's a lot different. So
Yeah.
getting used to that and like just everyone's always around and
Yeah.
everyone's always together
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm like, oh, my family this, or, oh, like, we're gonna go here, and he's like, whoa, like, what do you mean? Like, y'all are just always doing, and I'm like, yeah, like, I love hanging
Mm-hmm.
out with my family. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's been, like, kind of different too.
From like a parental like I guess experience, it's been good for us too because like Luis is very family oriented, but also so are you.
Mm-hmm.
So like I love that when you're in town, because obviously you guys live, in separate places. So when you're in town, it's awesome because and obviously I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but it feels like you're very much like, no, we're gonna go see your family or like we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna make time.
Yes.
And for me, that's like as a mom with a
Mm-hmm.
son, right? Like you kind of lose your son to the other family
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. When you have a daughter, it's different. But when you have a son, it's kind of like
Yeah.
you kind of lose them to the other family. So the fact that, we haven't lost him and you always make the effort to bring
Yeah.
him around, even though not to say he doesn't do it on his own, but
But
you know what I mean?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's been like a really cool thing as a parent to
Yeah.
like that culture is kind of like
I think
Yeah.
also it helps because you are so open with, like, other cultures, and you're not just, like, in your own ways.
yeah.
It makes it just that much easier for us to want to, like, like, hey, no, like, we do have to go see your family or hang out with
Mm-hmm.
them, or, like, let's make a plan. Like, I haven't seen them in, so
Yeah.
long. So it's like, you guys being so open and welcoming that way, it does make it that much easier. But yeah, I do
Yeah.
think,
That's awesome.
yeah.
No, and I think too, like, because you and I did hit it off,
Mm-hmm.
so it's almost like a friendship in a
Yeah.
way, like in a weird way,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really awesome. How do you like? So you guys talked a little bit about like on our side of the family. How does that play out for you, Luis? Like when you're spending time with Jeanette's side of the family.
Yeah, I think at first it was a little like overwhelming at times
Mm-hmm.
because um they would like have a lot of people over, or like they would, you know what I mean, like always be
Yeah.
spending time together, or and then her sister's really loud also. I feel like that
Yeah.
plays a big role in it. But yeah, but no, I love it. Like, her family's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. They're super welcoming to me, like her mom. Every time I come out here, I always ask to stay, just to make sure.
Mm.
I'm like, did you ask your mom? And every
Yeah.
time she tells me, she's like, Mijo, like, you do not have to ask me. Like,
Oh, I
you're
love
welcome
that.
here anytime you want. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's been really cool.
And it's good to know, like, I'm sure your mom feels the same way. It's good to know as mothers, like, we know our kids are going to be okay on
Yeah.
either side. Like,
Mm-hmm.
either way, like, no, they're not going to deal with anything, like, anything,
Yeah.
racism, like, any bad blood, like, any bad
Mm-hmm.
juju.
Yes.
Neither
Yeah.
one of you are going to deal with that on
Mm-hmm.
the other side. And so, like, as parents, I know it means a lot to us to know that you guys are both
Yeah.
equally, like, taken care of. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, for me, that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And not only like Luis, but also his son,
Mm-hmm.
to know that like he's been so accepted. And then
Yes.
of course your son on our side. So
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. How about like for you guys together? Like, have you like culturally, what have you picked up from each other? What things do you like, dislike, pros, cons? We talked a little bit about it, but
I think for me, like, I've learned so much, like about the Hispanic culture, at least specifically like Mexican culture,
Yeah.
in such a short period of time. Like now, like I know how to cook salsa, I know how to make, tacos. Like she teaches me how to cook certain stuff.
That's
I know
awesome.
how to make Spanish rice, you know what I mean? I used to only
Mm-hmm.
eat flour tortillas, now I'm eating the corn
Corn.
tortilla, so it's like
Yeah.
I pick up a lot of stuff, and like I said, it's like showing me like a new world basically, like turning that page for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like I said, it's played a big impact, and I've learned like a lot of stuff
Yeah.
since I met her.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think for me, it's been how we were talking about earlier. Like, I've always, grew up knowing that it's like we always have to be with family and hanging out with family. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that he shows me a really nice balance of like, it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just take time for just us. We
Yeah.
don't always have to do something with everyone because I'm
Mm-hmm.
very much like always wanting to include my family or like,
Yeah.
for us to like make sure that we make time. And I feel like he has definitely shown me that part where it's like, it's okay to not always have to include
Everybody.
everyone.
Yeah.
And we can just do stuff, just like
Yeah.
us. And not saying that we don't, but it's nice to be able to do that and to like
Mm-hmm.
know that it's okay and like okay, like yeah, like that it's a little different for me, but
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think.
How have you, since you both come to the table with your own children, each a son, like how do you think, or have you seen the culture like touch them in ways, or have there been any like things that have happened or things that you've noticed that they've maybe learned from either side that
Well, just something that I do every night with Liam is like I which I think is cute, but
mm-hmm.
as whenever I grew up, my mom would always like me persinaba, which is like, kind of how would you say that in English?
Don't look at me.
No, I'm like, well, like me persinaba so I wouldn't have bad dreams, So
Yeah,
she'd be like, en el nombre del
like
Padre,
a
del
like a
Hijo,
blessing
like
in
a
a way, or like
blessing
a
to
yeah.
bless like your to have nothing but good dreams.
Yeah.
And so I do that with my son every night. That's just
Mm,
something we do. And
yeah.
his son obviously sees the same thing and he's like, oh, like, like, does that work? Because he says sometimes he has bad dreams. So he's like, so that's
Mm.
something that now he asks for at night as well. So either I'll do it or he'll ask his dad and,
Oh, that's so
Luis does it. And so I think that's
beautiful.
something really sweet that like he's picked up on
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah, I do think that's something, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no, for sure.
Yeah. I know one of the things we talked about in the first episode with Luis is like him kind of like going back to his roots, like, his Puerto Rican roots on his dad's
mm-hmm.
side and stuff. Like, have you guys ever talked or have any plans of like maybe going to visit Puerto Rico or like,
Yes.
I know like obviously his dad's a very good cook, so I'm sure you've gotten to take
Yeah.
advantage of that. And Luis is starting to pick up on that now too. But do you guys have any plans that kind of like,
Yeah, we've definitely talked about it.
yeah.
I love Puerto Rico and I love the culture as well
Mm-hmm.
because obviously it's not the same as,
Right.
the Mexican culture, but I do love it and I love the food out there. But we have talked about that because
Yeah.
just as much as I would love or I have taken my son to Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
just to like know that like, this is where, my mom grew up or,
Right.
things like that, your grandma,
Those are his
those
roots.
are your roots. And
Yeah.
I told him I would love to be able to take the boys there and just like so they know
Mm-hmm.
like like this is
Yeah.
also part of your guys' culture
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
So yeah, no, we do have plans eventually down the future to take them. They are still both young, so we would like them to be a little bit older just so that
Yeah.
they can really enjoy it.
Yeah. And it's easier too, obviously, like traveling with kids that are younger, it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is neither place is that far.
Yeah.
But so are there any other things that maybe I didn't ask you guys that you guys have thought about in relation to like your relationship and culture and language?
Not that I could think of.
Yeah.
No, I think it's the only difference. I did think whenever we first started dating, I told him a lot like my family's loud and you
Mm-hmm.
might think we're arguing but
Yeah.
it's because we're all trying to get a word in and instead of like
Yeah.
taking turns like how you guys do and it's like oh this person has the floor no we're like everyone's like trying
Yeah.
to like speak louder than the other person so I did tell him like if at any point you get overwhelmed you let me
Mm-hmm.
know but
That's
he's
cool.
done really good just like he fits right in
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah, and like I said, like her family's really accepted me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
every single one of them, like her mom, especially her stepdad, like they're super welcoming. Like
I
they
love
take care
that.
of me when I'm over there. And then her
Yeah.
siblings as well. Like it started with her youngest sister. That's the first sibling that I met. And then now I feel like I'm starting to build like a little more of a relationship with like her brother, her other sister,
Yeah,
you know what I
like
mean?
separate from like
Yeah. So
you, just like you and his own.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool.
So it's been really cool, but yeah, no, like I said, it's her family's the best. So
Mm.
it's
How
been really
that
easy.
makes me wonder, like, how does that feel for you? Because like we're such a multicultural family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, him talking about like, you know, building those relationships with your siblings. How do
Mm-hmm.
you feel about his siblings and like the
Well,
various cultures
yeah.
that we all
Well,
are?
honestly, like I love that, especially when I first like met you guys. Like you guys are
Mm-hmm.
so welcoming, and like I never once felt
Mm,
like, even
good.
whenever I first met all of you guys. Well, obviously I already knew you, but meeting his
Yeah.
siblings, and like the first time we meet is like on a family trip, and like we're all
Yeah.
staying like overnight and hanging out,
Yeah, that was
and
a lot.
it's like everyone at once and stuff, and we're not just seeing each other for like an hour for dinner, like, and then leaving.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're like,
We're
staying
in it.
yeah, we're in a whole weekend. So
Yeah,
but you guys are definitely so welcoming. I love
that's
his
good.
siblings, like,
Yeah.
especially obviously Troy, because they're so close
Mm-hmm.
together, and Jazz and stuff. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. I mean,
And
I
then
love
you
them.
already had a relationship with his sister
Yeah.
because of your sons being best
Mm-hmm.
friends. So it's just kind of cool.
And she's so easy to talk to as well. So it's like
Yeah.
we could talk all forever.
The whole
Honestly,
day.
yeah, for a whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I really appreciate like you guys just having the vulnerability to talk, out loud about
Yeah.
these issues because they are vulnerable topics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I do really appreciate you guys being able to open up about them. And because I think so many people out there are probably have these same
Mhm.
things that they're dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly good, but there are some challenges. And for you guys to be able to kind of open that up and let people know about your relationship and then highlight the good things that can
Mm-hmm.
help people, like maybe not be so scared to date outside of their culture or
Mm-hmm.
not be so scared to, you know, try something new. I think that's really beautiful. So
Yeah.
thank you guys both for being here and
Of course.
opening up
Yeah, of
about your
course.
relationship. And as like, your mom, I get to learn a little bit more too, which is cool for me. But
Yeah.
but thank you guys. And thank you guys for all the listeners. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to next week. So I hope everyone has a wonderful week and happy Wednesday. And we will talk to you later. Bye guys.